call the meeting to order, and we will continue with our icebreaker. Maricela.
Hi, I'm Maricela with Inland Housing Solutions, the Community Engagement Director. And I'm barely planning my weekend. So far tomorrow we're going to Lake Paris to kind of enjoy the heat, kind of ending the heat and going into hopefully the fall soon. And just some water activities with the kids before it gets cold.
I wrote my friend, my sister, she said, "Oh, I heard about the terrible heat." And I wrote back and said, "I think we're just having an Indian summer." And then I felt like, I don't know if that's culturally proper. That's a term I grew up with. Does anybody here come from Asian background and can educate me on that? Rochelle, you got your hand up?
The phrase Indian summer is actually not referring to the Southeast Asian Indian. It's talking about the Native American culture. And so I looked that up, and apparently it's not culturally appropriate. So
Yeah.
just an FYI there.
Yeah, and it's so sad because I have such wonderful memories, but I'm not too old to make new ones. And so these late summer, early autumn days can just be called bad. I still want to show this video to you. And it's like a day in the lives of somebody. It's, I think, a disabled person who like checks out venues to see how accessible they are.
I'm in a wheelchair, and this is an accessible hotel room.
Checking in, the door was pretty heavy without an automatic door opener, but that's usually typical of hotels. The room itself was super spacious and pretty with a waterside view of downtown Norfolk. The bed was low enough to make it relatively even to my wheelchair for transfers, but it's really the bathroom that makes or breaks an accessible hotel room. Again, it was really big, including the doorway, which made maneuvering in a wheelchair easy. And there was a roll-under sink, but unfortunately the mirror is set too high on the wall to see myself in it, and the toilet is set too close to one side of the wall. So I get dressed in the toilet by scooting back and forth, so putting a toilet that close means I can't lean over on that side. And clearly the toilet seat needed to be tightened because it was moving a lot during transfers. There was a shower seat built in, which is awesome, but like many detachable shower heads, it was put up too high for wheelchair users to reach. Overall, the devil is in the details when it comes to accessibility, including hotel rooms. This is a really nice hotel room with just some minor things that could be fixed if the hotel so choose. I would stay again though.
That's a nice service that she's doing, because I know that like Google Maps is starting to put on there that if a business, say, is accessible, but it's not consistent across the board. So I think she's doing a great service. Her name is Paraterra, as in paraplegic, I guess. Paraterra. We have our member questionnaire link, and if you have already filled out a questionnaire in the last 3 meetings, then you don't need to fill this out. Misty will put in the chat the QR code. This is not the same thing as the demographic form we had everybody fill out. This is a new one. It's a membership questionnaire, and it's so we can learn more about you, but you only have to fill it out once. And it is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And I love this posting. I saw it a couple of years ago, and it's like what people think disabled people want to hear. Oh, you're so inspiring. I see you as my equal, right? Ooh, la-di-da, good for you. What disabled people really want to hear. You're hired. Your medical coverage was approved. We're happy to accommodate you. You got the promotion. And the thing that I keep thinking about is disabled people have been spending their whole lives overcoming barriers. So we know how to do that. Bring us into the workplace because we can handle things that put other people off. We have some of that stick-to-itiveness. Statistics show that the businesses that are the most diverse and the most innovative are also the most successful. They have a higher per employee salary or pay. So there's some actual data that backs that up. So I'll just do this quick. I'm Dakota. I identify as disabled. I have a mental illness, and I have hearing challenges that are actually pretty extensive. And welcome to the Wellness and Disability Equity Alliance. I apologize for our late start. We do try to make this meeting accessible as we empower and uplift the disability community. So I have enabled captions, and if you want them, you click at the bottom. Sometimes we talk about how people with disabilities are not victimized by hate groups so much anymore. That's why we don't have to password protect this meeting. But that hate is still there and the fear is still there. I was dismayed this week. Former President Trump called VP Harris mentally disabled as an insult. So first of all, I don't even think it's true. Second of all, using that term in that matter makes it seem like being mentally disabled is a bad thing. And we're rewriting our narrative about what disability is. It's an ableist comment that follows a long history of using disability as a slur to diminish us. It harms us. So language is important. And that's why I'm not going to use the term summer anymore. We have some options. And also, Greg went deep and gave us the history of that term. And then there was also the vice presidential debate. I know it's inconsequential for many people, but there was a piece, and this is about how people with disabilities tend to be implicated into violence. So, of course, the conversation was about gun violence. It was
making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns.
There's this pretty ingrained cultural belief that mentally ill people are unpredictable, violent, harmful, and statistics show they're much more likely to be the victim of harm than to cause harm. We can move on to our land acknowledgement. If somebody is exploring with the idea of stepping out of their comfort zone, this is a great place to
I'll
try.
read it. Me.
Awesome, Joseph. Thank you.
Riverside University Health System, behavioral health acknowledges that traditional, ancestral, and contemporary homelands of the indigenous peoples of Southern California whose land it occupies, the Cahuilla and the Cupino, the Luciño, Serrano,
Close. Chemehuevi.
Chemehuevi peoples and their ancestors have been here since time immemorial. Never heard that word. Caring for the land with great integrity. The first peoples honored the earth, animals, and the plant beings, the water, and all peoples that lived here. We acknowledge this reciprocal relationship and intend to continue and extend the values of caring and emotional wellness to all indigenous peoples, Native Americans, and residents of Riverside County. RUHSBH creates relationships built on trust and accountability with its community members. With this land acknowledgement, Riverside University Health System Behavioral Health commits to be respectful to and mindful of tribal sovereignty, culture, and beliefs of the indigenous peoples of this land.
Thank you so much, Joseph, for stepping out on a limb there for the rest of us. The land acknowledgement, I like to follow up with some information to help us all understand more why we bring this about. And so Native Americans, I'm sure you know, they were subjected to this campaign of extermination and industrialized genocide, and it was intentional. I did not know this until I attended the Philippine American Immersion School that a couple weekends ago at Miracle Springs. And we went to the Cahuilla Museum, Cultural Museum. And I mean, I knew it happened, but I didn't know it was a concerted, intentional process with thought behind it. It was done through violence, disease, starvation, treaty violations, displacement, reservation confinement, and resource stealing. And the one I want to mention here, and I'm going to show you this slide, is the stealing of the children, Native children. They were removed from their homes and sent to boarding schools to be like Christianized, right? It was an intentional effort to ensure that these kids were disoriented by new surroundings, unfamiliar food and rituals, like their hair was cut, which is a spiritual loss for many tribes. And they lost their connection to family. So we see this boarding house in the back. And in the front, we see teepees. And why is that? That's because the parents wanted to be with their kids. They wanted to see their kids, so they had the teepees right there. And in my mind, I can hear the people inside the boarding room like dismissing them. Oh, why don't they trust us? Why are they have to come and camp over there and make us look at their teepee, right? So this just really struck me. It brought it home to me, seeing this picture. I value your input. I think we all respect each other. We want you to contribute. So the community agreements, we like to keep this a safe space, free from judgment. Take care of any needs. If something is shared that is disturbing to you or offensive or harmful, traumatic, just do what you need to take care of yourself. Whether you can do some self-soothing or step away. And also allow us to accommodate you. Please let me know about your accessibility needs. We do record the meeting, but to make sure it's safe, if anything happens at this meeting that you're uncomfortable with, you let me know. I do the editing myself, and I will make sure it gets edited out. And then the meeting will be posted online in just hopefully soon. If we get Zoom bombed or interrupted, we'll all touch base by email to see how we want to proceed. And because this is an intimate and safe space, we deny access to artificial intelligence because they're not in, sharing this space with us. And then we reserve the right to update and change this agreement should the need arise. Minutes approval. So we met September 6th, I think. And go ahead and look through here. See if you were here, see your name, make sure it's spelled correctly. And that your title reflects reality, if possible. If you were there and you're not on there, let me know. All right, we called it to order at 1:04. People did the questionnaire. We talked about accessibility, the immersion school. Let me know if I'm going through this too fast. Oh, remember, it was National Lazy Moms Day. And so if there is such a thing as a lazy mom, we talked about what we would do if we had an entire day with no commitments. We did the community agreements. Clara did a nice story on the Autism Society Inland Empire. Not a story, but she shared some amazing statistics and information. Of course, we talked about the Autism Walk that's coming up later this month. Reported about our summit panel. Oh yeah, listen, Yeto. She talked about how a variety of the deserts teaming up to do that carnival. Still hasn't come up. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah. And we'll be shooting out messages to remind you about that. Gloria shared about Cody doing some events too. Cody's the Center on Deafness Inland Empire. And Mari, yeah, IRC doing a fall festival too. Nancy Stevens, and that offer is still open, I think. She offered anybody interested a complete detailed list of what nursing home residents' rights actually are. And I am going to run through, you're welcome, Alyssa. I'm going to run through the chat. If I've been ignoring you, I apologize. Okay. And America, Inland Caregiver Resource Center. They're having a 1 day. Oh, they had it already. Okay. Nancy. Now, I didn't really get this, Nancy, until I was looking the minutes over. I feel kind of like I
here,
blew
but
out.
I'm just listening in. I'm meeting with someone right now in the background. Sorry. But I'll be there in a second.
No worries, no worries. So Nancy talked about this person in the pool doing a pool walk for charity. And she thought this would be such a great way. Water walking allows people with mobility challenges to participate in fundraisers, right? So I thought that was kind of neat. We met, we agreed to meet and we adjourned the meeting. Okay, so far I haven't heard anybody say anything about changes. So with that, I will ask for somebody to move that we approve the minutes and a second.
Dakota, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes as they stand.
Thank you,
I
Misty.
approve the minutes too.
All right, Tana Butler is the second. Thank you so much for letting us get through that. Now, I'm going to start this off by playing this video by Ronnie Patrick, who is a disability rights activist. And this runs 2 minutes.
I did not get home and community-based services, and what that did, it put a lot of pressure on my family and a lot of shame around as my physical needs increased. I acquired arthritis at 10 years old, which is 2 years after being diagnosed with head-to-toe psoriasis. And so as it became clear, I tried to go for cure and healing, and that was not happening. I didn't know as I became a teenager that there wasn't going to be a cure experience for me, and my disability just became more and more, the arthritis recruited more and more joints in my body. So I now use a wheelchair. The turning point for me was a woman who had arthritis too in college invited me to have pizza in her apartment, and she introduced me to a shower chair, which I didn't know about. And I was taking a shower in a standing shower stall and sitting on the floor of the shower stall and letting the water come down on me. Didn't know that there was equipment out there that you can use to shower with. And I didn't know that you could also have strangers, essentially workers, that could come into your home through a home health agency and have Medicaid pay for it to help clean my own body until this woman told me about her own experience over Starlight Pizza in South Bend, Indiana. And so I had a direction around making sure that I never again have to crawl around on the floor or go to public places smelling unclean, and contribute in the world as my own ferociousness demands. So that's what's going on for me. And I also care for my husband too, who also has muscular dystrophy. You may know Mike Irvin. He has a blog called Smart Ass Cripple. So check that out too if you want to know about disability rights.
I love her so much, and I applaud her bravery in sharing her intimate details. And that part where she said about the shame around her disability needs, and I experienced that also. And I thought we could engage, if you feel comfortable, in a little bit of a conversation around this. And I'll just start off by sharing mine about my hearing disability. I'll tell somebody I don't hear well, and they'll speak up nice and loud, but then they forget, and I have to remind them, can you speak up louder? And I feel like such a nuisance. I feel like it's, if I were a better person, I'd be able to engage in this conversation and not be so hard to talk to. And then stepping up in institutions and asking for captions and asking for CART, the communication access real time. It's hard to do because I think about the money. Oh, I'm costing extra money and I should be making money for this company, not using their money, right? And I keep forgetting that I'm entitled to these things. So if anybody feels comfortable sharing about any shame they have around their disability or the disability need accommodations they need to ask for, or if you don't identify as disabled, can you share about any of your consumers maybe don't identify them, but let us know if they've shared with you about any disability shame as we bring this topic out of the darkness.
After about 6 years, I'm finally addressing an issue that's been an issue for me for quite a while. I'm gonna be going in about the middle of the month and having prostate surgery, and addressing something that's been a problem at my last workplace, and was definitely an issue along with my osteoarthritis and being able to get up and being able to move and get to where I needed to go, and then spending extra time in where I needed to be, and then coming back and feeling basically abused for being in the restroom for far too long. So and then there are other things that go that go along with that. And one of the things I found that was just absolutely wonderful that was touched on earlier is shower chairs are the most wonderful things in the world. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You're so very, very correct. So and I actually was able to get some help from some of the Kaiser OT nurses, and they came out to the home and they were able to show me a couple of ways on how to clean and feel like I didn't have an issue.
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely wonderful after climbing out of my shell and saying help. So
Yes.
so there we go. There's my experience, and I'm owning it.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for being vulnerable with us all. Those OT, occupational therapists, I think behind physical therapists, they are so vital. And
Oh
it's
my
little
gosh.
things. Yeah, move this way and you won't tweak your back, So that's
Exactly.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And shower chairs, I hear, are a game changer. So
Yes, they are.
I'm
They're
so
absolutely the best.
I know they're very light. They're really
Yeah.
easy to pick up.
Yes, they're wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you, Peter. Did anybody else want to share about any of their disability or their consumers' disabilities, shame around asking for accommodation?
Mine, I would have to say, is my deafness.
Yeah.
I struggle a lot because people don't believe that I'm deaf because I speak. And so they end up screaming or hollering, and it's like, that ain't gonna make a difference. So I'm gonna hear you.
Yeah.
And I'm in the same boat as you with the captions. I have to keep reminding myself that it's not just a fight for me, it's not just a fight for you, it's a fight for all of the deaf and the hard of hearing. And we're entitled to be included. And by us not speaking up, we're just staying excluded, and that's not okay. And I have a shower chair, and mine actually comes out of the shower so you can get dressed on it and dry off.
Oh, that's very cool. Tana, that was so well said about it. It's not just about you and me. It is about a fourth of us, right? A fourth of Americans identify as disabled, a large group that, while there's more acceptance, there's also still a lot of shame is still there. And sometimes we hear it ourselves. It's internalized. I think what I'm taking from what you said is when I'm asking, I'm not just asking for me. I'm asking for, all the disabled people who need it also.
So you spoke up in their behalf and you got what they needed, because where if you didn't speak up, they wouldn't get what they needed.
Yeah. It's a terrible feeling to not understand what's going on around you. It's really awful. Joseph, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to wait my turn and talk about some of the things I've experienced. So ever since a child, people could tell something was wrong with me. They would say, you know, my nickname in school sometimes it was long arms because my spinal cord didn't grow past like the age of 8 or 9. And I'm stuck with this small spinal cord and the rest of my body and my bones growing to a grown man's size. So I will always ask, what's wrong with me? What happened to you? Did you get into a car wreck? And then it's funny because when I try to use my disability to my advantage and I'm like, well, can I have an accommodation? They're like, well, what proof do you have that you're disabled?
I need a piece of paper.
And it's like, yo, can't you look and see? You know? Are you blind or what? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I've experienced. You know, always being ridiculed, talked about, put down, and then it's awesome that I have the gift that I have, and that now that I'm older, I can laugh about it. And you know, I'm in that mind frame of one day I'll be dead and God will give me a new body. You know? So I'll just live with the one that I have, do the best that I can. Thank God that I'm not more disabled and impaired than I am, because spending time inside the homeless shelters, for those that don't know, I was homeless for 5 years. I lost my home to a fire in 2019. I went from shelters in Nebraska to Iowa to South Dakota. In college, I was a student government representative, a senator on the student government, and an activist. I became the mascot for Mount San Jacinto College and did all these wonderful things as a disabled person with a bad back. It's just like the costume fit me. It was perfect, you know. And it was a way to hide the disability, and people who treated that Ernie Eagle costume like a celebrity. It was cool, you know. But I lost everything. I ended up inside of the homeless shelters, where I used to think that Michael Jackson was one of my icons. And I figured I have to be an entertainer and I have to make all this money so I can take care of people. And what I didn't realize is that God showed me, no, it doesn't take $1. What it takes is an open heart and you to let me use you. So in every shelter I went to, I became the cook. I became the one that wiped off the tables, set the tables, fed the people, passed out the food, vacuumed the floors, changed the bedding, cleaned the pee off of the bedding. And I talked to people with blown off limbs and veterans and people that have disabilities that are far beyond me, swollen legs, elephantitis, all these different things that I experienced, and they're homeless and they're wishing for a day that they could do exactly what God is doing for me now. I'm inside of a home. I'm not homeless anymore. Thank God for the HOPE program. Thank God for RUHS. They came through for me. And I want to advocate for those that are experiencing it, not only with disabilities, but before somebody becomes mentally impaired because of what that lifestyle can do to them.
Mm. Joseph, thank you so much for that. Joseph is one of our performers at our Multicultural Symposium in January. We're very excited about that. And I just both Tana and Joseph, you just really struck my heart with what you were saying. And Peter, also you being vulnerable. Thank you.
Can I share a link to the music inside of the chat?
Yeah, please do. Please do, Joseph.
Okay.
And Nancy, you had your hand up for a bit. Did you want to share? You are. Oh, you're mute.
Hi, I'm staying off camera because I have so many people in and out of my room today.
I understand. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, of course. I just thank you so much, Joseph. I hope that I get an opportunity to connect one-on-one with you as soon as possible. I love what you do and who you are. It's just incredible, all of you here. But I just wanted to say,
Thank you.
I want to know if there's a way, if anyone has any ideas, if anyone's willing to get involved with getting legislation passed when disabled people are in nursing homes. And you can look this up on ProPublica, just the ProPublica website. You can see all of the complaints that have been made when people try to reach out for help. They can't get it. And so when they do report something, their disability, their diagnoses, their including mental health diagnoses are all listed. Is where it says like resident one. They're supposed to keep it anonymous. But the nursing homes know who's reporting, and then right after that, retaliation begins. And I'm the only person that I know, other than the Kohler Group in New York, who has stayed and endured continual retribution over the period of time, a long period of time, to take that retribution only to make changes from the inside. And so I'm trying to protect people who come into nursing homes who need care, who don't have. There's just so much to say. That's really just all I'm going to say. But if you look on ProPublica, look up my nursing home, it'll show Behçet's disease, or show something else like another one of my conditions, or my mental health diagnoses, or whatever, PTSD or whatever it is, and they know it's me. And I'm fine to handle myself. I mean, it's difficult and it makes my PTSD way worse, and I, go backwards a lot in my treatment, but the majority of people aren't able to advocate for themselves. And so the abuse continues and it gets worse and they become more afraid. And other people see that this is how it's going to be, right? So.
Yeah, I put the ProPublica website. It's a journalism site, right? In the chat. Okay. And Joseph has got his page on there too.
Thank you.
And Joseph, oh, okay. So Nancy, I like what you said, because it's like what part of our job here is to restore the power balance. And when you're talking people in nursing homes, that vulnerability of being limited to who you can connect with and talk to, just the limit of feeling maybe frail or fragile, or and you've got these hyper performing nurses and, hopefully who get everything accomplished, and it can be frustrating and I think so much of our work is restoring power to the powerless and to the unheard. So.
Right. And as they try to get more people out of the hospitals where people are languishing, they're putting them in nursing homes. And so not everyone who's going in is an aging person. Well, we're all aging. But you know what I mean.
I do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We can continue this conversation. I have no qualms about having to move on. We're just sharing, if anybody joined us late, about our feeling shame around our disability, feeling hesitant to ask for accessibility. Should it inconvenience somebody else, right? Tana.
I was wondering if Nancy can join us after the meeting. I have some input on that.
Yep, Nancy, I know you got people coming in and out, but at the end of the meeting, let's just stay on and get you two connected. Thank you, Tana. Anybody else want to share about anything? I was just wondering if your consumers had expressed some of these frustrations or shame. Okay.
I know a frustration I came across, Dakota, was getting an email stating that the autism people that have autism are becoming more homeless. It's like a high rate now. And I'm wondering, like, is there a way that we can help fix that?
that was a question Nancy asked Clara last week, and I forgot to get back with Clara or last month to talk to her because she said she was going to get an answer and get back to us. Nancy did provide some a story about it, but it wasn't really full of numbers. But I'll tell you what, if somebody is disabled in any way, they have a higher chance of being homeless. There is a higher incidence of disability within the homeless population. And then when you are homeless, you're higher at risk for more disability, like traumatic brain injury. You're maybe more susceptible to assault. And so these things can just pile on each other and intersect. And what if you're also a person of color who is LGBTQ, right? You just got strike after you. Rachel.
On the topic of autism and the risk of being homeless. My oldest is 27, and he does have autism along with ADHD. And he has been struggling to find employment. And he was hired at different businesses, but when it came down to letting them know these are my abilities and this is how well I work, he never got a start date. So they always used they had their perfect excuse on why they never gave him a start date, knowing that, they could most likely get in trouble. But I'm seeing that not only with him, but other moms or caregivers that do have older adults who are just trying to gain employment. Luckily, he has mom and dad to say, we support him, he lives with us. But I can't imagine those who do not have those supports and how that's a challenge. My son finally got a job now. He's supposed to start tomorrow, but he has that trauma. Mom, when I show up, are they going to tell me that the position was filled or some excuse, right? So that's just my experience with that. So I to kind of bounce off a little, that is what I'm seeing on my personal end with my son.
It is true, because I go to a day program, and it's for them to get jobs. Now, before 2020, people were hiring the disabled people and the low cognitive people, and since 2020, with the economy the way it is, it's like they need people that move fast. They need people that can go in there, get the job done, and not have to, what they consider, babysit. And when I went for one of the interviews with my friend, that's what they told her, is we don't have time to babysit you. We have time to employ you. Well, we don't need to be babysat. We may need to have direction of repetitive duties. But that's not babysitting. It's just like, hey, don't forget you have to do this, and do one thing at a time. Don't give us a list and say, okay, now make sure you get it all done. It's not going to happen. So I find that the employment rate for the people with disabilities has really dropped, and the employers, they're really rude.
Yeah, they've not all of them have been through the HR training. And because if they were, they would know that there is statistics that show you hire, say, an autistic person, set them up with a buddy to kind of help them move into the culture of the workplace, and then let them soar. Maybe your group runs into a dead end. We don't know how to solve this problem. Somebody with autism might say, well, why don't you try this? Nobody thought of it, right? Because of the different brain. And they all go, no, that can't work. Wait, can it? Right? That's the typical story I hear is what happens. It's just that diversity, that ability, that neurodivergency, just people can look at problems a whole different way, and companies need that. That company that turned down your son, Rachel, they're the ones who lost through that. That was their missed opportunity. I guess I can move on. I do want to talk about the autism, since we're there. The Autism Spooktacular. Thanks to Will for asking the question, can we go in costume? And we are all going to go in costume. It's going to be October 26th. This one's in the desert. I misspoke. I said Palm Desert, but it's actually Cathedral City. I think it was there last year. They're going to have trick-or-treat stations, a corn maze, carnival games, sensory stations. They like to do that with neurodivergent folk. And it's free to anyone who has autism and to walk. And then if 2 and under are also free, and then kids up to 12 or $15, it kind of goes up from there. So Misty is putting in the chat the registration link if you're interested. And I would like to find somebody who wants to volunteer to help me. I know you can't, Nancy, because you'll be attending the fall festival, I think, something like that over in India. Is there anybody who wants to come out to the desert? I'll bring your swimsuit. I'll let you go swimming here at my complex if it's warm enough. Is there anybody from the desert here? Ceci, you want to come from Blythe? I'll hit Will up to help me set up.
I probably could.
Yeah, and Misty has a good excuse. She's going to be on the other side of the country. The next piece we're going to do is a poll. International Day of Persons with Disabilities is November 23rd. Normally it's in December, but they're jumping in a little early this year at the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens. And it's a big day. Mike Rosenkrantz of SoCal Adaptive Sports is asking us to sponsor it for $1,500. Now, disabled people with disabilities don't get in free that day, but their caregivers do. Are there any questions, any talking anybody wants to do about this? It's about SoCal Adaptive Sports. They provide athletic opportunities for children and adults with disabilities. They do education to people without disabilities, let them, squirrel around in a athletic wheelchair, stuff like that. There's a name for it. I can't remember what it's called. Murder ball. They had that at the Olympics. Okay. My recommendation is that we do it. I'm fine with sponsoring it, but if there's no conversation, I will launch this poll and give you a few minutes to. Oh, okay. And did I have the date on there? Yeah, November 23rd. Okay.
I'll just add this is a great event. I went the first year that Wade sponsored this event, me and my husband, and we had a really good time. And we learned about some really great resources that are available to the disabled community as well as non-disabled community, and to be able to watch the public experience what it's like to have to maneuver using a wheelchair was super cool too. And I know that they looked like they were having a whole lot of fun. So it was a really good time.
Yeah. And then of course you can see the little hippo. Well, it's not little, is it hippo? No, rhinoceros. And you could feed the giraffes. That's always fun. They have long blackish purple tongues, and you can see them up close. They have a high, like a skywalk almost, and so you're like right at eye level with the giraffes. And my favorite, I think, are the wild African dogs. They're so cool. They're all being like in a corner together as a herd. And Joseph, I'll get to you in a second. I just want to mention there's a lot of stuff going into the chat about some flyers. Rachel, thank you for that. She posted a bunch of, cool, neat events. And Joseph, you put something in the chat too, the Get to Know Me page. And Joseph, we'll take your question while we finish getting the poll answers.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. Where's the poll at so I can.
Oh, did it not launch, you guys? It did launch. Maybe it closed it down.
Oh,
Okay. It might have been behind a window. I do have a lot of votes in, so I'm trying to figure out if I should relaunch it.
I don't think it'll let you relaunch the poll. You have to click it and then do it.
I'm giving, it says ended on it. Let's do a visual vote. Who needs those dadgum Zoom tools? You can use your camera with thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay. And or you can come off mic, or you can go on the chat. I saw all thumbs up except for the interpreter sort of did some thumbs down for a second because she was explaining it. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I don't want to single anybody out, but it does look like it's going to be Jennifer.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it a digital thumbs up or am I throwing my thumb up?
Either way, I'm watching the chat, so I'm watching the screen, so I should be able to see both
Quick
reactions.
question. When you
yeah.
talk, I'm sorry, are you ready?
Actually, hang on a second, because I think Jennifer wanted to.
Okay.
She had a hand up. Did you have a question, Jennifer?
No, sorry, I was looking for the thumbs up. My apologies.
I've been there. The raise hand one's really big. Where's I just want to say hi. All right, Nancy, go for it.
So when you ask us if we want to sponsor something, do we have a specific budget or like a limit on where the money can go?
Yes. And Misty, do you want to take that answer?
Yeah, Nancy, we do. So each one of our subcommittees has a budget, an annual budget of $25,000. And the goal of this money, of course, is to be able to reach out into our under-resourced communities and provide some financial support to organizations that are doing the great work and are helping to reduce those disparities and link people into services. So that they can have a better quality of life. So that's the goal behind the funding. And then each subcommittee gets to do just what we all just did and vote on whether or not we support organizations and their cause. And then, of course, in return, the expectation is, right, it allows us into their audience, to have access to their audience, to be able to provide resources about our own services as well. And then to link people into the system of care if that's the decision that they decide they want to make.
And I'll mention too that the fiscal year started in July, so that's when the money started. Of that total amount, 25,000, just a ballpark, we used 1,000 to sponsor ICA. We've done the 300 for the blindness services. Seems like we did another 200 for something else, and then now we're being asked for 1,500. So we're nowhere near. We haven't used all the money before. So, and we had a hand up. I saw it, and then I lost it. Was it Rachel? Did you have your hand up?
It was me. I'm sorry. I'm just wondering if any of the monies is allocated for any brochures, any information about this group.
Yeah, those come out of the general. If I'm right, Misty, let me know. Or if I'm wrong, let me know. It comes out of the general cultural competency fund, and all the different 9 liaison groups all pull out of that fund for literature. Is that correct?
Okay. The only reason I'm asking is because our program, we're with the department as well with RUHS, but we're with parent support and we do a lot of outreach. So it would be nice to have just a nice handful. So when we do go to outreach, we could add it to our resource table.
You got it.
Rachel,
Awesome.
we can definitely do that. Dakota actually does have a marketing approved brochure for Wade Alliance and what that means and what they do. She's the only subcommittee now with a brochure, but some other ones have interest flyers that give a little bit of information about their subcommittee. So just link up with me and we can do that. And then the other part of that answer is some of the funds can be used to produce literature. So like, for instance, if there's something out there specific when it comes to behavioral health and the disabled community that somebody's already created, we can bring that back to Dakota, or whoever finds it can bring it back to us. We can look at it. If it's appropriate, we can reach out to them and buy the rights to use it. So some of that money can be utilized for that as well.
All right. If we send you electronic copies, Rachel, will you be able to print them up, or do you? Okay.
Yeah, I would just like to add it, as a basics to our, because we already have like a basic stuff that every resource box has. It would just be nice to have another little extra.
We've made sure they're accessible too, with high contrast, and they're screen reader friendly. Although I guess if it's a paper, then it's not. Okay. We voted a couple weeks ago to keep the meeting to an hour, and I felt so pressed for time last month that I wanted to see if it's okay if we plan for an hour, but allow it to go an hour and 15 minutes. We do have the ASL interpreter till the 1:30 or 2:30. But is there any objection to us sort of keeping an open end a little bit to the meeting, and we try to end it 2, but we can go till 1:15? Okay. Thank you, Pete. All right.
I think that's a good idea.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
And the
Because
reason
we're-
why is because your presenters were rushed too.
Yeah, exactly. So in that case, I am gonna move on. We are going to sponsor for $1,500. We got the yes on that. Just a quick picture when we did the coalition aging for master plan. We were there, Nancy, and here's our ad. We had a quarter-page ad because we sponsored them. So that's cool. Oh, you know what? How about if we end with the trivia game and then we'll just get the vote on how we're going to meet next month, and then we'll do the round table. But I found my Starbucks card, so I'm pretty sure it's $20. I should have checked that out. So get ready to type your answer into the chat or have your mic off, because you can just say the answer first too. It is a multiple choice question because today, National Taco Day. I had no idea. When American entrepreneur Glenn Bell created Taco Bell, get it? I never knew that was named after him. In 1962, how much did he charge for one taco? Was it 19 cents, 2 bits, which is a quarter, 4 for $1, which it can't be that because it was one taco, or they were free? Mr. Bell was a philanthropist.
19 cents.
Stop. Jenny beat you to it. Sorry. Jenny got Souza. She said 19 cents. Who was it who said it out loud? Was that
Pete?
Oh, it was
I didn't
Pete?
say
Okay.
90 cents. I didn't say
You both get Starbucks cards. We had one they happened almost simultaneously. So we'll send one. And Jenny, who's giggling so hard?
Pete, of course.
Oh,
Who
I was
else
looking at
would
your
it be?
picture. Let's get them all hopped up on some caffeine. Thank you for playing our game, and we can move on. Jenny, I just got your email address, and Pete, I know I've got yours. Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
the
It was
answer.
a great start of the meeting. I was just guessing.
Yeah, 19 says, boy, inflation. So Misty's going to talk just for a second about an expenditure, and we will do a poll on it. So this is about Braille materials, Misty.
We have our interest flyer, like I had mentioned when talking to Rachel earlier, that Dakota designed. It's beautiful. It's been approved by our marketing team. We've been using it for a minute, but our low, no vision folks, or our folks who can read Braille literate, they don't necessarily have the opportunity to get the information in the same way as everybody else. So we were thinking if we created or had some of those flyers translated into Braille, because we do have a partnership with Blindness Support Services. And then also we have the Braille Institutes here in Riverside and out in the desert, being able to provide them with a few copies. It is pricey. It runs $10 to $15 a sheet. But that's why we're bringing it to the subcommittee. So this, for example, Rachel would be part of the money used from that $25,000 bucket to be able to produce this information into Braille for our low, no vision folks. So we wanted to bring that here, talk about it a little bit, and what that would do is a person would be able to then read the Zoom meeting ID without the assistance of anybody else. And if they've have their device, then they can also join the meeting and be able to have access to the great information and conversations that we have here. So I know we were thinking of doing, how many, Dakota, did we say?
If we do 20 at $10 to $15 a pop,
About
it's going to be
$300.
$200 to $300. So I launched the poll, but you don't have to answer right now. Is there any more discussion about this? What else do you need to know from Misty to vote? I'm getting you in the voting mood. Getting ready. Vote for election. I did, just for the heck of it, I ordered a little I forget what it's called. It's like a clipboard that you can make Braille yourself, but you have to do it letter by letter, and you have to do it backwards because the top needs to be poked up so you can feel it. It's a very interesting process. Okay, let's go ahead, and I'm going to stop the share so we could. So go ahead and should we create Braille materials? Shall we set aside up to $300 to have 20 copies of the first Friday flyer upgraded to Braille? And while people vote on that, what is it, just a yes or no?
Because
Yeah.
Peter already did.
Do you have a question, Joseph?
I do. I wanted to ask, okay, is it possible to get more flyers in Braille for a lower price or for the same price?
So when it's because what they do is they have to take the information and there's a lot of variables, right? There's graphics on this flyer. Do we want the graphics described in Braille so that somebody can read the description and be able to have an understanding of what's on that flyer? Do we want to just do the text part of the flyer? Things like that. There's a lot of different things that go into translating a document into Braille. And the more information on there, the higher the cost could be.
I see.
Just plain text in a simple format is $10 to $15 a sheet, and then it goes up from there. And keep in mind too that although people are still learning how to read Braille, it is falling a little by the wayside due to all of the accessibility features in technology. But we still do want to have the information available to those who are learning Braille. We have recently had translated one of our crisis support flyers that has all the crisis information on it. I'm actually waiting for those to be delivered probably this week, and that's the first piece of the first document we've had transcribed. So this will just be in addition to that.
Okay. So thank you for helping me understand.
Yeah, you're
absolutely
welcome.
And so this might conceivably reach older people losing their vision, because older people tend to read Braille more than the youth, and also newly disabled if they're learning Braille. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll in about 5 seconds. Looks like we're getting lots of votes in. I'm just going to end it now. Okay, so what it looks like, share results, 100% yes, yay! And then we can revisit this if they're a huge success. I have the feeling, I don't know if this is true, but if I had a Braille document, I would keep it around the house longer as opposed to just a regular flyer, right? Because it's like special. And then while we're on that, blindness support services, you know, we are paying them to vet the website for hiring. Misty, did you want to give us an update on where we are with that?
Sure. So we were waiting for the blindness support service to update some information with our main county procurement office. They finally did that. So they're active vendors, and we can now move forward with an agreement with them to vet the accessibility of our main HR hiring site. So we did have some people just go on and let us know what their experience were. Dakota reached out to some people and they did that for us. The feedback was not good. It's very not user-friendly, not accessible.
Hard to navigate through.
No, and low vision. Yeah, it's really hard for them to navigate. And even though they do offer a phone number for people to call and have somebody help guide them through that process, it's still very difficult. So we'll go ahead and have blindness support services check that website out for us and then provide us with some recommendations on how to make it more accessible. And we will provide that up the chain to see if we can have some changes made to that so that our low, no vision population can possibly apply for some positions.
We're going to do this poll question now. We're getting it launched. Yeah. Would you like to meet like this on Zoom next month? Or would you like to meet in person? And if you do want to meet in person, there's a second question on there. Where in the county would you like to meet? Thank you, Marcella, for coming by. So appreciate it. I always like when they tell me they're going to leave because it gives me a chance to get closure. Okay. I'd like to end the poll here. And we have share results. Okay. Zoom. So we're meeting on Zoom on November 1st. That's nice. I'll make it accessible. And then let's talk next month about December and if we want to do that. So thank you so much for staying with us so long. Let me stop sharing and let's open it up for community announcements. Does anybody have any more events? I know there are some flyers in the chat and I'll make sure those get uploaded to our, not that one, Google Drive. And if you want to, on your own, go to the Google Drive and upload your flyer or download a flyer that you saw. The link Misty will put, if she hasn't already put it into the chat. It's Jennifer, go ahead.
Thank you, Dakota. I'll be really quick. So, for those of you who do not know, our Department of Behavioral Health has 14 subcommittees. I do support 3 of them, and one of them that I'm supporting is the Women's Awareness Subcommittee, and we are having an in-person meeting, and this will be our last one of the year. We will be going dark for the month of November and December, but for our October in-person meeting, we are going to be honoring we will be honoring the Domestic Violence Awareness Month and have the Domestic Violence 101 event. It will be in person at our DBH Training Institute from 1 to 3. We do ask that you register just because it is space limited. We are going to have 2 presentations from House of Ruth and Option House, and we're going to have a panel discussion with a few domestic violence survivors with a legal expert on that panel as well. So if you are interested or know anyone who would love to participate and attend, I could definitely send that to you, Dakota, if that's okay. I could send you the flyer. But this will be an in-person. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'll look for that email from you. Alondra?
Hi, yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alondra Castillo. I'm with the State Council on Developmental Disabilities with the San Bernardino Regional Office. And I wanted to invite everyone to a training that's going to happen this month at the Dorothy Ingram Learning Center that's across the street from my office. And this training is for self-advocates. I may be biased because I know the presenters. I used to work at Disability Rights California, and they were peers of mine. They're both self-advocates as well. Scott Barron is part of OCRA, and Gabriel Taylor is with DRC at the Voting Rights Practice Unit. This is going to be in person, and Gabriel is working on getting the accessible devices at the event so people, other self-advocates can learn how to use them. So I hope that, anyone here, if you're interested, please feel free to come and join us and share with other self-advocates so they can learn what their voting rights are, if they're having any questions about how to register to vote, and just to learn how to use the accessible devices as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alondra. I had the slide up. I love the part about we'll be able to get a copy of the League of Women Voters Easy Voter Guide. I love to take a little shortcut into the booth with me or at home. I'll resend that flyer out too as we get closer. And you know what? I think we have, thank you. Misty just put the link to register into the chat. Wow. All right. Let's see whose hand up is next. Rachel.
Hello. So I've been putting a lot of information in the chat. I hope you're all able to access it. The first ones I put is we received a new resource for peer clinics. Those are it's a 16-week social group for children. There's a group for children, there's a group for youth, and there's a group for young adults up to age 30 who are diagnosed with autism, ADHD, depression, and anxiety, and it's social skills. So share that along with your families, as well as our Open Doors, our monthly support group for parents and caregivers who are raising children with a mental health challenge or behavioral emotional health challenge. We still have that once a month, every month in the evenings. It is a kid-friendly support group, so parents can bring their children. We have groups for the children to participate in. I know Misty shared the Fall Fest we're having here at Myers Complex. One of the things that I love about our festivals here at Myers is that they are every child friendly, because we understand that as parents, it's hard for us to take our kids to festivals because of their challenges. While we offer an environment where families can feel comfortable bringing their child to a festival because they will receive the support if their child has a meltdown, if they have a crisis, if they're having behavioral challenges. We want our families to have a safe and welcoming environment. So that's what I love about our festivals, as well as every year we collect food for families who are receiving services through RUHS Behavioral Health. If your agency would like to know more or would like to donate food for the holidays, please give me a call. I'm coordinating those projects this year. The flyer is in the chat. If you want information, contact me. And all the food goes to children and youth and their families who are receiving services through behavioral health.
Did you want to throw your email or phone number into the chat if you
Sure.
didn't already? Okay, that would be great. Yeah, I'll save everything from the chat and send it out. So you know what, I am going to throw back. If you didn't get a chance yet to fill out the membership questionnaire, I'll leave that up for just a second. But I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting. What's the opposite of to order? Adjourn? We're going to call this meeting adjourn. Thank you so much. Congratulations to our Starbucks winners. That was Jenny and Pete. Yeah, coffee, huh?